friends, and welcome back to another episode of Last Minute Laura. My name is Laura, and today I'm going to show you another easy dog sweater project. So, for this one, I'm thinking something that has a nice collar on it, has lots of room for the front legs of the dog, has a button and a strap to do up, and then tapers towards the end. I've made a couple of rough copies just to get the pattern perfect, and basically this is the idea that I'm going for. You'll be able to do it up, and you'll have a nice sort of a diamond shape that goes around the dog, and then that strap will go underneath their tummy, wrap around the other side, and you'll end up with this nice fitted sweater. You can do it in multiple colors, you can do it in different crochet weights. I'm using a single crochet for this entire project, but you could definitely change it to a half double crochet, even a double crochet if you want something a little bit more gappy. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be doing it in a single crochet. For this project, you're gonna need some wool. I'm using Briggs & Little Heritage wool in the color gold. I really like this color and I think it looks really cute on my dog Thunder, but definitely you can use anything that you want. So what we're gonna need first is some measurements. To get the neckband to fit your dog, you're gonna wanna measure around your dog's neck. I'm saying add an inch or two, make it a little looser than you think you're gonna need because it's nice to have a little bit of give on a sweater. You don't want it to just fit the dog's neck. If they're wearing a collar or if they have a winter coat on at that time, you're gonna want it to be a little bit bigger. So Thunder's neck is about 10 inches around. Another measurement you'll need is around the shoulders of the dog. So that's basically from the top of their arm or the top of their front leg to the top of their other front leg, that measurement. Next, you're going to need the girth measurement around their rib cage. For Thunder, that's 15 inches. That's just so that you know how big to make the largest part of the jacket. And last, you're going to need the measurement from the back of their neck to the top of the back of their bum, I guess. So almost where their tail starts is where you're going to want to end that measurement. And for Thunder, that's about 15 inches also. So it's okay if it's not 100% perfect because we are going to finish with a really tight single crochet all the way around, and that brings it in just a little bit. But those are the measurements you're going to need. Also, if you know these measurements, then at certain points in the pattern, for example, between the shoulders and the girth measurement, that space you can just continue going in order to make a longer jacket. If you've got like a wiener dog, you could just keep going and make a longer jacket. Or if you have a bigger dog, the measurement around the neck is the basis for how you start the rest of the sweater. So it's definitely sizable up or down fairly easily. And here are my little technical drawings, what it looks like from the side and what it looks like from the front. Get just a little sort of diamond shape. It curves around the neck, so it's not going to be completely flat unless you pull it. And then when it's folded, you've got that strap, which you'll do up with a button. So other than your yarn, for this project, you're also going to need a button, one button. I do recommend a larger button just because we're working with wool and it's going to be easier to do up. Some of the sizes I chose were this big giant one for this red jacket, and then for this brownish yellow jacket I did kind of a tan one. I think for the yellow yarn that we're using for this project, I'm either going to go with a brown one or a red one. Okay, so let's get started. One last thing, you're also going to need a yarn needle. That's just at the end, but FYI, you will need a yarn needle. I'm getting started with a 4mm crochet hook. The Heritage wool is a 2-ply, pretty thick 2-ply wool, but I like using the 4mm hook because it gives a much denser finish to the fabric, and I like that because Thunder is a chilly little guy. So we're going to start with a slip stitch and then chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. After that, single crochet all the way across and chain 1 and turn at the end of the row. Okay, so for the first stitch and last stitch of this next row, we're going to do a single crochet as normal into the top of the stitch, but for every other stitch across, we're going to just single crochet in the back loops only. The reason we're doing a regular single crochet on that first and last stitch is it creates a nice straight edge to work with for when we're sewing the dog's collar portion together. So again, for the first stitch of the row and the last stitch of the row, create a regular single crochet, but for all of the other stitches in the row, do a single crochet back loops only. Let me see. Yes, for the next 19 rows, I'm going to do the exact same thing for Thunder's neck portion of the sweater. First stitch in the row is a regular single crochet, and then I single crochet back loops only all the way across until I'm at the last stitch, and then I create a regular single crochet for the last stitch. This portion is customizable though. Just keep going until you've made the strip of fabric as long as your dog's neck is around. But remember to add an inch. So if your dog has a neck that's 15 inches around, make it 16 or 17 inches long, just because we're going to sew it together and it's nice to have a little bit of extra room in a neckline. Oh, pardon me, I misspoke. I read my instructions and the next step has 19 as the number of stitches. For this neckline, neckband for Thunder, it's a total of 41 rows, not a total of 19 rows, excuse me. Again, it doesn't really matter because this one is you create as many rows as is necessary to get the band to go around your dog's neck. But for Thunder, that's going to be 41 rows. Hey, also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every single day. Monday through Friday, I live stream from 7 a.m. Eastern Time until 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you're into live streaming, chit-chatting, planning out projects, and that sort of thing, definitely join us. But if you just like these sort of tutorial style videos, those come out lots of times during the week as well. Right now, every Saturday and Sunday, I've got a tutorial filmed and ready to go for the rest of August and all of September. So just subscribe if you're into handmade stuff, because there is new stuff coming out here on Last Minute Laura all the time. And I'm happy to have you. And if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps out the channel, it helps me grow, and it's a free way for you to show your support. Okay, so I'm just finishing up the last row, row number 41 of the neckband. And then from there, we are going to be getting started on the body portion. Okay, and on that last stitch, I'm going to do a chain 1 and pull it through, snip my yarn, and there we go. And what I'm going to do is right away, I'm going to just weave in that end so I don't have to think about it again. Hold on, I'm going to try. These stupid fake nails, trying to look all proper, making it difficult for me. There. Now I can trim that. And there's the neckband. So in the end, we're going to sew it together down here at the bottom, and that's going to be the bottom of the dog sweater. So now what we need to do is attach the yarn at the 9th row. So what I do is there's little gaps at the top of each row. I just count those gaps. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I'm just going to grab a little crochet hook. I'm going to just mark that area. If you've got stitch markers, you can use them, but a piece of yarn works just fine. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. So now I'm going to reattach the yellow yarn at that stitch marker, right where the stitch marker is. I'm going to put my hook in and just pull a loop of the yellow yarn through, and then I'm going to do a chain, and that secures it, and I'll tighten that one down, and then I'm going to do one more chain, and that's going to act as our single crochet for the first stitch. And now I'm going to single crochet all the way across into those top holes, so into one stitch for every row. 2, so this is 3, 4, and 24 for the last one. There we go. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn. And the next row is just another single crochet row. So this one, we're not doing any back loops or anything, just regular single crochet all the way across for this next row. I'm starting again with my row numbers, so this is now row number 2. Okay, so now we're on row number 3. For row number 3, we're going to single crochet 2 times in the first stitch of the row, and then we're going to single crochet across, except in the last stitch, we're also going to single crochet 2 stitches. So 2 single crochet stitches in the first stitch and the last stitch of the row, otherwise single crochet across. And at the end of that row, chain 1 and turn. Alright, so for row number 4, easy peasy, we're just going to single crochet all the way across. Okay, so now for row number 5, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch and 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Otherwise, we're going to single crochet across. From here all the way up until row 19, we're just going to do those 2 rows. So 1 row of single crochet, followed by 1 row with increases at either end. Then a row of single crochet, then a row with increases at either end. If your dog is bigger than mine, you can continue increasing until the width goes all the way to down their shoulders so that it wraps around them like a snug sweater. If you're doing something around the size of Thunder, then work until you're at row 19. So one more time. There will be 1 row that has 2 increases, 1 at the beginning of the row and 1 at the end, followed by a row of just straight single crochet. It's going to create that nice tapered increase that looks easy and a bit less drastic than if we increased at the end of every single row. So I will see you back here when I am at row number 19. Okay, so now I've finished row number 19. You can see I've got the nice neckband all done and the even increases on both sides. For row number 20, there are no increases. So it's just going to be a single crochet all the way across, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Okay, and now we're on row number 21. For row number 21, we're going to single crochet until we get to the end of the row, and then we're going to chain 25. This chain of 25 is going to represent that tummy band that we're going to use to secure the sweater onto your dog with a button. So single crochet across the row, and when you get to the end of the row, chain 25. And just a tip, if you're looking to get something that's stiff, like my sweater is here, I recommend keeping your tension nice and tight. You don't need to go crazy and have it like curling all over the place from how tight it is, but if you keep your tension a little tighter than maybe what your average is, you're going to end up with a nice dense fabric, and it's not going to let wind into your puppy when you're walking outside in the cold. Okay, and here we are at the end of that row, and now I'm just going to chain 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 25. And then we're going to turn the project. And now we're going to work into those chains as if they are our foundation chain. So now we're just going to single crochet across. So single crochet in the second chain from the hook. 1, 2. And we're going to just single crochet across. And when we make it back to the body part of the sweater, just keep single crocheting all the way to the other end. Okay, so now we are on row number 22, and for row numbers 22 until 28, we are going to just single crochet across, including that new zone. And at the end of each row here, we are going to chain one and turn. So it's just 22 until 28, single crochet across, chain one at the end and turn. If you want to make your belly band a little bit wider, you can go a few more rows. It's no big deal either way. If you want a skinny little tie, then you could go just a couple of rows. It's totally customizable, this part of the sweater. Pretty much the whole sweater is pretty customizable. You can shape it to your dog just by increasing for longer or stopping your increases a little bit early, and then making the strap accommodate your puppy's belly. Okay, so now I have just finished row number 28. Well, I've got 2 stitches left, so I'll just finish those. And then chain one and turn. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a piece of yarn and mark straight out where the edge of that increase is. And then I'm going to just mark the stitch where I want to stop. So for the next, let's see how many rows. For row 29 until 32, we're just going to be single crocheting back and forth between these 2 points. So we're done with that strap. That strap piece is finished, and now we are just going to single crochet between those 2 points. For rows number 29 through 32. Okay, so I've just finished row number 32. On this end though, we're not going to chain one. So at the end of the row, don't chain one, just turn the work. And then we're going to skip the first stitch. We're not going to put a single crochet in there. We're going to single crochet into the second stitch. And other than that, we're going to single crochet across just like we have been. By skipping that first stitch, we're going to begin decreasing the edge of this sweater so that we get a nice soft curve going in towards the end of the tail. Okay, and now at the end of this row, we're not going to chain one, just like last time. We're just going to turn around, skip the first stitch, and then single crochet into the second stitch and across. And this is how we're going to keep moving forward. For the next several rows, we're going to be doing all the way up to row number 60, just like this. So skipping the first stitch in the row, single crocheting across, no chain one at the end of the row, and then turning and skipping that first stitch again. So we're only decreasing 1 stitch off of one side every single row. And that's just going to make for a slightly softer curve down, and the decrease will take just a little bit longer than the increase did on the way up. Hey, if you're still here and you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Like I said before, I put out new videos every single day, and if you like the video, it's a free way to support the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So I'm just going to zoom through these decreases, and I will come back in a few rows to show you how it is looking for me, but you can already see just with that first row, and now I'm doing the second row, the decrease is already visible. It's way less drastic than at the beginning of the sweater, but it's still going to curve in a nice way to keep the garment hugging around your doggy's sides and also keeping a nice even curve to both sides. We want it to be symmetrical, and that is what we are going to get with this. So the only thing you've really got to remember from here all the way up until row number 60 is at the end of the row, you finish your last single crochet, no chain one, turn the work around, skip the first stitch, and then start your single crochets from the second stitch and single crochet across. And I'll just pause here to show you. We're starting to get that curve already. You can see the decrease is beginning, but it's not as sharp as the decrease at the beginning. So it's going to be a little more of a shallow decrease that will result in a really cute little sweater. So I'm going to keep going with my decreases for a few more rows, and I will come back to show you what it's looking like in just a little bit. Okay, so I am just finishing up row number 60 now. I've done skipping the first stitch for every row and no chain one at the end of each row. So that has created this really nice decrease stitch effect. And then I'm going to turn it. I'm not chaining one again. You can see it's even curving in a little bit because of my tightness, which is perfect because that means on Thunder or on your dog, it's actually going to hug his bum, which is what you want. So now for row number 61, I'm going to slip stitch into the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to single crochet across, leaving the last 2 stitches unworked. And then I'm going to turn. And now 62, this is our last row. I'm going to slip stitch into the first 3 stitches again. 3. And then I'm going to single crochet into the next few stitches, leaving the last 2 stitches unworked again. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and there we go. Not very many stitches in that row. And then we can just chain one more, pull it through, and snip it. And then I'm just going to weave that stitch or that tail in right away. And there we go. So there is the final shape that we've got. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to attach the yarn at the bottom of the neckband right here, and I'm just going to attach it with a loop, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch, and I'm going to pull that slip stitch really nice and tight, and then I'm going to do a chain 1, and that's going to be counting as a single crochet. That's our first one. And then from there I'm going to single crochet all the way around this open edge, all the way up that band, and when you get to the edge of the band, come back here and I will show you what we're going to do next at this top corner. So I'm just going to single crochet along this entire edge. And keep your single crochets nice and tight for this part because it'll help the sweater stay snug on your dog's body. Okay, so now we've made it to that top corner. This section that we're about to do now is going to be basically the buttonhole. So we're going to be doing a chain stitch around and reattaching it at the other end, at this corner over here. So I'm going to start with 10 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See if that makes it across, and it does. So you can make it just enough to get across, and that's totally okay. I'm just going to add an extra couple of stitches, just round it up to 12, just so that there's a bit of a curve so it's a little more visible when the garment isn't on. Next, I'm going to put my hook in at the top corner of the other side of that band and slip stitch it on. And then I'm just going to single crochet, continue that single crochet all the way around until we end up all the way back at the bottom of the other side of the neckband. So I'm going to single crochet across here, all the way around the bottom of the body, all the way up until this corner of the neckband. And that way we'll have everything having a nice clean finish to it. And then all that will be left then is the sewing. So I'm just going to zoom through this single crochet finishing section. And this is also something fun where you can change the color. You could use a different color for this edging stitch and it just adds a little bit of interest. Something a little different. But it definitely gives a much more finished appearance to the garment. Takes away a little bit of that handmade look. Not that that's a bad thing. I love handmade items. It's just, if you're trying to make these, for example, to sell or to give as a gift, it's nice adding this extra little finishing single crochet round to just tighten it up, neaten up the edges, and create a really beautiful finished project. Okay, so I am just on the last stitches of that single crochet round, and I'm actually in a really good spot to not even cut the yarn here. We can use this area, this spot that we ended up, to put the neckband together now. Let me just get that final stitch. I'll finish that with a slip stitch. And now, what I'm gonna do is fold the garment over onto itself, and then I'm gonna line up the neckband. There we go. And then I'm gonna insert the hook into the last stitch or the first stitch of the neckband and just pull a loop through as a slip stitch. And then I'm going to insert into the next stitch with the hook and just slip stitch the neckband together. Easy peasy. And this is going to be the inside of the garment, so it's not super important if your slip stitches show or if you don't think it looks pretty. This is going to be the inside of the garment, so don't worry about it. And just work along the neckband just like this, slip stitching it together. And there we go, we've made it to the top of the neckband. One more thing that I'm going to do, it isn't necessary per se, but I do like to have all of the edges finished when I do some crochet. So I'm not disconnecting my yarn yet. We're up at the top of the neckband. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just single crochet all the way around the neckband, starting with this guy right there. And then I'll just single crochet all the way around, and when I make it back to the front, I will secure my yarn off and weave in the end, and that way there's going to be a nice finishing stitch around every edge of the garment. There won't be any loose edges. Everything will look nice and neat and pretty. So let me just finish this round real quick. I'm just going to link it up to that first stitch, pull it through, and then I'm going to do a chain one, pull that nice and tight, trim it, and then that part is done. So then we can turn the whole sweater inside out. And that's actually the main part of the sweater is totally done. So we've got a nice neckband, we've got the whole body finished, and the only thing that is left is adding the button. So for this part, I'm gonna need my assistant. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got Thunder here. Hello, mister. And he is going to help me figure out how big his tummy is. Okay, good job, good boy. And then we're going to have it wrapped around like that. Let's see if we can do one of these. Do you want it to be a turtleneck? Yeah, that's a little better, huh? Okie dokie. And then I just put it on his little booty. You can see it curves around his little bum, so it's not like a cape. And then I'll just pull it up to where the button will have to go in order to fit his little belly. Such a cutie. And then I'll just mark that spot with my crochet hook, the trauma, and a little piece of yarn. And there we go. And basically, good boy, Thunder. Basically, I've marked this spot because when I wrap it around his tummy, that is around the area, it'll be a little closer like this. That's around the area that we want the button so that he's got a nice, loose but snug fit. We don't want him to be super tight. You can see the belly band is definitely out of the way of getting pee on it when he wears it. And we can flip the collar down like this, or we can leave it up like this, depending on how windy and cold it is. So I'm all done with you now, mister. You can get up. Here you go. Ugh. And then we'll take that off. Good boy. Oh, he's such a good boy. Can I have your hand? Give me a paw. Thank you. Thanks, baby. You're such a good assistant. Mwah. So now, bless you, mister. So now we're going to place that button at around this depth, but we're going to line it up with the actual spot that the belly band is supposed to be on. Okay, so what are we going to do? Are we going to do brown, or are we going to do red? Yeah, you know what? Let's do black. So again, oh geez Louise, some loud birds today. And a train. Trying to film nature, hello. Okay, so I'm going to get, we want it about that depth. Oh, actually that's pretty good right there. So I'm gonna just grab a little bit more of my yellow yarn. Holy moly, what are you? Oh, you're so small. Cute little bird. Okay, so I'm gonna start with just, I'm gonna start like this, go through my, of course, I guess I will end up doing this because you're big enough, aren't you? No, they're all too small. Are any of them big enough for a yarn needle? Gosh darn it. What kind of luck do I have with buttons? Okay, well, we're going with a silver button because I am not using a regular sewing needle for this job. So silver is what's happening now. Sorry, friends. Okay, so we're gonna go through, and then on the first wrap around, I'm just gonna tie a good knot here. And then what I'll do is I'll weave that piece in through after the fact. And now I'm gonna go under the whole garment and up through the other holes a few times. I'm just gonna do a few X's to really secure that button in place. And this pattern is super forgiving. Like if you made it this size and then your dog's a little chunkier than Thunder, you can just move the button lower down. Or you can add more chain stitches for that buttonhole. It's super easy to adjust based on your dog. Thunder is a svelte little model though, so he is needing me to make it a little smaller for him in the future. But I did want a little extra coverage on his tummy because he always gets cold and muddy in the winter months. Okay, so there we go. The button is now sewn on. I'm just going to tie that back, just like that. And then I'm going to weave in this piece of yarn. I'm going to first thread it through, so I'm weaving in on the back end. And then I'm just going to weave the piece through the whole garment all the way to the end. Just so that it can disappear like that. And then I will trim it. And I'm going to do the same thing with this other piece of thread yarn that's left over from the other part of the buttonhole. And one more end to weave in, and then we are going to be totally done. There we go. So that is it. The sweater, ta-da! It's finished. You can see how the edges curve, and that is exactly what you want. If it curves like that, it'll hug onto the body of your dog. If it's flat, sometimes it can straighten out like a cape and not hold on to your dog, keeping him extra warm. So I'm going to just get this on Thunder, and I will show you how adorable it looks, and I hope that it works for you and for your pup. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you make this sweater? Are you going to make it? Anyway, let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. I hope this video didn't drag out too long, and I hope the instructions were helpful. If you do want to purchase this pattern, it is available on my website, www.lastminutelaura.ca. And if you want to purchase an already made dog sweater, you can find one there, www.lastminutelaura.ca. Anyways, friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video tomorrow. Bye!